NFL as teams round out their coaching staff. The New York Jets have hired Frank Reich as their head coach and quite likely soon to be interim head coach. And excuse me, they've hired him as their offensive coordinator, and probably by week 6 of next year, their interim head coach.
Why
are you
so
laughing
shady,
at that?
Bro.
What are you talking about?
You two dudes, I forgot the pain y'all have endured for the last 2 decades. So congratulations, Frank. You deserve it. I'm fired up for you. I know you're going to do a good job, Green.
He was the head coach in Carolina for how many games? I'm just trying to remember that.
Get out of here. Get out of here. You were so bad, bro.
Frank Reich, offensive coordinator, Jets, go.
Listen, I actually think it's a good move.
It is.
Because he's a veteran guy. Frank Reich, as a play caller, I think would do a pretty doggone good job.
Yes.
Obviously, they just got to figure out the quarterback situation, but there are pieces on that offense for the Jets.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll see how that goes. We'll just move on from there. Let's just do. I mean, you've got me in a bad mood now. You've denigrated the flu game. I haven't recovered. Tim Hasselbeck, let's do QB quick reads. Todd Monken as head coach. What does this mean for the future of Shedeur Sanders?
It just means that Shedeur Sanders is in the quarterback room. That's what it means. And he gets an opportunity probably to compete for a roster spot in Cleveland. I don't think that Todd Monken's walking into Cleveland saying, look, we're going to build this around Sanders. I don't even think that Sanders will come into the competition there, if there is one, as penciled in as the number 2 guy. I just don't think that'll be the case. I think they'll be in the veteran market looking for a quarterback that has more playing experience.
Do you agree with that? You think Cleveland is looking for a veteran quarterback to bring in and reset with?
Oh, absolutely. They're going to add competition to that room. This thing is not going to be handed to Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, everybody's in. Brand new head coach. Everybody's job's up. They got a ton of offensive linemen who are free agents. They got a lot of work to do in Cleveland.
They drafted Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round last year too. His name doesn't even seem to come up much.
Yeah.
We'll see. Tim,
QB room.
Well, let's go to Arizona. That's an interesting one. With Kyler Murray now, Mike LaFleur is the new head coach. What do we expect Kyler Murray's future to look like?
I think Kyler Murray becomes available. I think the Cardinals are moving on from Kyler Murray, and I think he'll be one of those names that's out there as, somebody that whether you need competition, whether it's, in Minnesota or, places like that where you're looking at Kyler Murray. Now, what I would say is the name that will come up, I think quite a bit, will be Malik Willis. I think that'll be, something that's talked about quite a bit as Arizona looks to the future at quarterback.
Malik Willis, of course, playing these years under Matt LaFleur in Green Bay. Now his brother taking over there in Arizona. How about Kyler Murray? What does his future look like?
I'm just not sure. I'm not sure I agree quite yet with that. It's a massive number for the Cardinals. I want to say it's close to $100 million. There's a lot of football business with this Kyler Murray thing. And so I don't think it's nearly as clean as we're going to move on for Kyler Murray. I think that's probably part of the job interview was could you rehab him or bring him back to the building and back to the fray?
What do you think?
I would say it would be more likely to happen for this simple reason. We've seen in recent years where teams have said, let's just eat the cap. Let's just eat the cap space now. Who expects the Arizona Cardinals to really be all that good in year 1, with Mike LaFleur? It's better to just eat it now. We've seen the Denver Broncos do it with Russell Wilson. So eat it, deal with it, and then move on from there.
I'll be interested to see who it is that decides to bring in Kyler Murray. Obviously has a skill set, and we'll see if there's a team out there that buys in. Last one, Tim. Matt Ryan and the Falcons. He's now running that organization, for those unaware. Not committing to Michael Penix as their starter yet for next year. What do you think the quarterback situation in Atlanta looks like?
I think they have to bring in competition because of the injury situation with Penix, which is why Matt Ryan is not committing to it. I think this, unfortunately, because of the injury history, is trending towards a situation like the Colts were in, which is, look, you may love the prospect, you may love the young quarterback, but if he can't stay healthy that you can rely on him and build around him, you're forced to bring somebody in that can play when that guy gets hurt. Otherwise, you're going to get fired. And think of the perspective Stefanski Stefanski's coming into this with. He actually had a decent team in Cleveland, but he never had a quarterback, and that was the problem. That was the death of his opportunity in Cleveland. It's hard to become a head coach twice when you didn't have success the first time. I think you have to go down swinging, trying to find somebody that can give you starter level play out of the quarterback position, and you can't do it with a guy that's rehabbing a knee.
And I mean,
this is interesting. This is an interesting. Kirk Cousins, they redid his contract to probably help him move. But Stefanski won with Joe Flacco in Cleveland. Does he like that fit? Because Tim makes a great point. At that position, availability is the greatest ability. We say that a lot in the NFL. But at that position in particular, your quarterback can't be missing 4 or 5 games a year. And so Penix has either got to get healthy or they got to move on. This is the most interesting because their team and the division they're in, they can make noise right now. They could be the Patriots, right? They have that kind of talent. It's going to be interesting for me to see how they fit it.
Yeah, I think that's my point there. I look at the division. Atlanta can come in and make noise immediately because they have talent on both sides of the ball. Yeah. They got to figure out the quarterback position, but this division is definitely winnable in year 1 of Kevin Stefanski.
Yeah. You would think, because the division was won under 500. They actually tied for the division lead and lost out in a tiebreaker. It's a shame with Penix because he is such an incredibly gifted thrower of the football, but he had multiple knee surgeries in college.
Couldn't you forecast that, like even coming into the league with all the injuries?
It was a stunning. I mean, early in that draft process, people were talking about him in the second round. Because of all the injury concerns, they took him 8th.
And let me say this. When you get into certain offenses and quarterbacks because of injury, you watch them do like pistol and get things and I'm assuming you're doing that because of his limited ability to stretch plays. That shrinks your offense. Like before we get really into the weeds, it makes it very difficult to run the football and be productive if your quarterback's limited because of injury. And not just making it on the field, it's how productive you can be on the field.
Yeah, they're a team I think worth watching.
No doubt.
There's so much there that no one's been able to unlock. We'll see if
Vrabel and Josh McDaniels has had on him is profound. And also think about this. I don't foresee a time that Drake May is going to lose his offensive coordinator because I think that time has passed for Josh McDaniels.
It's probably
Tar Heel. Let's go, baby.
Let's go to the other side. Would you believe Jackson Smith-Njigba is the best wide receiver in the National Football League?
I would believe that. I mean, he has been absolutely phenomenal. The way that Clint Kubiak and the Seattle Seahawks use him, put him in the backfield all over the formation. The dude is unstoppable. He's not the most physically imposing guy, but the way he runs his routes and separates from people is unmistakable.
He's my pick for MVP going into the game. And finally, would you believe Sam Darnold, if he wins the Super Bowl, joins the ranks of elite NFL quarterbacks?
I would believe this. Listen, Sam Darnold, in the last 2 years, Sam Darnold, Jeff, how many games has he
30.
30 wins in the last 2 years. That put him in the elite company. He's not being carried by the Seattle Seahawks defense. We know that defense is incredible, but Sam Darnold has had 2 really good years. And he caps this thing off and wins the Super Bowl and plays well. We're going to be looking at Sam Darnold in a totally different light.
It's such a complicated evaluation. Tim Hasselbeck, help me, quarterback stuff here. Darnold wins 14 games in Minnesota. They move on. They fall completely apart without him. Comes to Seattle, wins all these games. Here he is in the Super Bowl. That would suggest that we should talk about Darnold the way we talk about the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and yet it doesn't feel like we ever do, and I can't make up my mind if we should or we shouldn't. What do you say?
Yeah, listen, I think that, he's should be in that category of, whatever we're calling it, elite. I think he should be. Now, I think it's all so hard for people to get the early stage of his career out of their mind. I think it's easy also for people to focus on the fact that, just take the 2 games at the end of the season, the regular season ender and the postseason game against, the 49ers, and the fact that the Niners, I think, scored 9 points in 8 quarters. So there's going to be just so much credit given to that Seattle defense that they're going to say, well, it's not because of Sam Darnold and what he's doing. So, look, those are the arguments of why we're not saying, yep, he's putting the team on his shoulders. That's just how people are going to view it. But you win as much as he's won. You do it in the environment he's done it in. Look, that is elite in my book.
What do you think, Jeff?
I agree. I mean, listen, I made this comparison on First Take yesterday and in this morning. Like, this is like the Eli Manning conversation, right? About like how do you frame guys? And when I think about like Eli Manning and winning 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVP, you would talk about him being elite, and he led the league. Woody, you said this before a couple times in turnover or in interceptions. And so when you're talking about what makes guys great, they show up in big moments. And I think if you look at Sam Darnold, even the 30 wins that he's had, the losses in that year, most were against the Rams. I think 3 or 4 were against the Rams. So certain teams get your number, man. Like, it is what it is in our game. I remember the Chargers kind of had our number at the Colts for a while. And so as I look at this, we're not discussing him as an elite quarterback is silly. And you looked up the word elite for me, and it's super achiever. Are you going to call Sam Darnold a super achiever? He's winning 30 games and playing the way he. And by the way, he may have just beat the MVP in the NFC Championship game, and his defense didn't shut down the Rams. Matthew Stafford had an MVP performance in that game as well, and Sam Darnold went head-to-head with it, and they scored a bunch of points against the Rams to win. So he didn't just get carried. He's doing his part at the position.
I love Sam Darnold. I'm rooting for him like crazy.
No,
yes, I do.
If he had the flu, you would love him. He didn't have the flu.
Okay, how are we defining elite, I guess, because I'm just sitting here writing down names of quarterbacks. And, I mean, are there 11, 12, 13 elite quarterbacks in the NFL? Is he better than Allen, Mahomes, Burrow, Lamar, Dak, Jalen Hurts, Matt Stafford, Drake May, Jordan Love? Is he better than all? I mean, how many elite quarterbacks are there in the NFL?
Okay, he's playing elite at this point. So you're framing their careers. I'm just trying to cut it into the 2 years that he has, right? The 2 best years that he's played, because obviously we're going to wipe out the Jets, nonsense, because nobody's successful there.
Right.
So let's move forward. He got trained up. He's fixed it. The last 2 years, he has played as well as the guys you're talking about. He's putting up numbers.
Tim, give me a final word.
Yeah, I think the big thing is this. So you're talking about right now the 11 guys. How many guys have actually won a Super Bowl playing quarterback? I think you're in rarefied air if you play the quarterback position and then you end up being a Super Bowl